Well, welcome to the E-Cafe. Thanks for tuning in to our virtual cafe. I am Kay Elizabeth Green, where it is my pleasure to remind you how powerful you are. Learn to help you to recognize your gifts and trust your inner guidance. On today's show, we're going to be looking at some tips to help you create a successful work at home environment. And I've invited a guest who has been doing it for the last 7 years. Welcome, Andrea. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show and welcome everyone else.
Okay. Andrea and I used to work together for a short period of time, and then she transitioned from actually working in the office to working at home. But before we get into those tips, Andrea, tell us a little bit about you, won't you?
Of course, I am currently working from home at an after hours travel service. Actually, I should back that up. I'm currently furloughed from working at home with an after hours travel service. I've been doing that, as you mentioned, for the past 7 years. And I just in view of the coronavirus pandemic, I thought I would like to offer people some of what I've learned to do for myself in trying to make my work environment as positive and open as possible. I do realize this isn't a cookie cutter situation, and that what I do and how I proceed is not going to be for everyone. But there are some things that all of us, I think, would be able to use and combine with our new situations now. I know that a lot of people have been thrown into this situation unexpectedly and are trying to work through the kinks. And I just thought I could offer a few things that helped me get along the way.
Yeah, and I felt the same way. I because I own my own business, I work at home. And I know that many people that are currently listening to the show also primarily work at home. So whether you work at home, that was your option, you chose it, or are working at home because of everything, the coronavirus, and needing to stay at home. I think there's some challenges that you go through with working at home. What's one of the challenges that you have found when you initially started working at home, Andrea?
Initially, I had to wrap my head around the entire process. Folks were my friends, family. Oh my goodness, you're going to be working from home. How wonderful. How simple is that going to be? It required quite a bit of discipline. One
When
of the
you say
things, sorry.
Yeah, when you say discipline, why would it require discipline? I mean, you're working at home and you tell people that you're working at home. So, what kind of things kept you distracted?
Well, I needed to pay attention to sticking with my own work hours. Um, I think that's important in making sure that you've got some kind of stable time that you are actually getting paid for by your company. Um, Organization was a hard thing to sit and figure out, what do I want to do? What am I supposed to accomplish for the day? What things are could possibly come in my face that would throw me off, like phone calls from folks, like my cat walking in the room, and I really needed to buckle down and find a place that I could actually make mine without so many distractions.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that that is a critical thing, that when you are working at home, people hear the word home and seem to not hear the word work.
that's true.
And also setting times, whether setting a specific time that you are working or letting other people know that you're working, whether you're working for a company and you have very set uh, times that you're supposed to be on the phone, or if you're working for yourself, you still need to designate those times and really let people know about those times. How are you able to let people? What were some of the techniques that you use to help people know that this is work? It's not just at home.
Well, some of the things that I found helpful, one of the main things I found helpful was to um, take the time that I was using to commute to get back and forth to work, take that time for myself, in terms of what getting my mindset, coming up with a positive way of thinking about things for the day. Um, just taking a moment just for myself, just to get in my head. I'm getting ready to go to work now, and these are the things that may come in I may come in contact with. So I had to take that moment, and I think it's important for people to use their normal commuting time for personal time, just to get your heads together for whatever may come your way. Um, Another thing that I thought was pretty helpful was getting dressed. Uh, it's not, mm, it doesn't help you productivity wise or personally to sit in bed with your laptop in your lap with fuzzy slippers on. It just doesn't put you in a uh, in the mindset of a job. You're
Yeah,
still at home and you're still chilled, and you need to kind of get, and I had to get out of that habit. Originally, I kind of sloughed into that, but after I figured out it was not helping me be professional or pay attention to what I was doing, that couldn't work. I'm not saying you have to get up and put on a suit and tie, or, but I do think being ready and prepared physically helps you mentally.
oh, I definitely agree with you on that, because the days now, because I work for myself, there are very, the days that I am productive, really productive. I got up. I did my personal regimen, which was my meditation and my prayer. Went into the bathroom and actually washed my face. I know I was talking to one of my clients who said that they hadn't taken a shower in a couple of days because they were the only one in the house. But doing those routine things like showering and washing your face and changing out of your play clothes, your pajama clothes, into something else just set the whole mindset for me in being able to say, oh, I'm ready for work, opposed to, oh, maybe I'll do a little work. So it's a whole different mindset. What were some of the other things, Andrea, that you found besides changing and preparing that helped you have a successful work at home environment?
Well, I also know that, and this is not necessarily the case for everybody working from home. And again, this isn't a cookie cutter thing. It's all going to be based on your own personal environment with your family. Some people have kids, some people don't. Some people have pets, some people have spouses or significant others. I was fortunate or not to be by myself, and I learned to turn off um, my television. I didn't have music in the background. I didn't have distractions like that, because when you're at work in an office, those things are not at your disposal. So I really believe that me deciding that I have to create a work environment for myself here at home helped me focus and organize. One of the other things that I found too was if you're working for a company, don't forget that you have work support. There are supervisors, there are managers, there are people that are still working also with questions that have answers to some questions you may have, where you don't have to necessarily feel alone in the situation because you're not by yourself. Even though my job does not require us to use a video, I'm just on my headset, and the person can't see me, I can't see them. But you sometimes feel a little alone. You have a question. Don't hesitate to contact your office for those same people who were there as a support staff from before. They still exist, and they're still there ready to help. Also, I think one of the other things was sticking to your normal work hours. If you're in an office situation 9 to 5, for example, then work from 9 to 5. If you're organized prior to your job, then you're not sloughing off things during the day, answering the phone call from a girlfriend, chit chatting for 20 minutes when you really should be working, because then that 20 minutes is now pushed to another part of your day. And instead of you getting off at 5, now it's 5:30, 6 o'clock. Now you're into dinner time. Your family's ready for you, and you're still working because you were distracted during the course of the hours that you've already set for yourself. So you have to adhere to those times. Not to mention, if your company is paying for you, they're expecting for you to be at work during the time that you're there, and you really should uh, adhere to a good work ethic and stick with that.
And if you're working for your home, for yourself, set specific work hours. And what's nice about working for yourself, you can adjust those hours so that they fit you. I work Monday through Saturday. Well, Saturday I take off, but Sunday, and I start my week on Sunday to set it for the week. And then I don't usually start before 12 o'clock because I find that doing certain things for me sets me up to do it from a 12 to 5. So, regardless if you have a company that has set the hours for you or you're setting the hours for yourself, make sure they're definite and that you have let people know what those hours are. I know that for me, when I was staying with my son, it required me to really be firm about I work from this time to this time. I've talked to several people who are now opting to work at home opposed to going into the office as things are opening up. And it's important that you adhere to those specific hours, either from putting a sign on the door if you have older ones, or like my daughter-in-law with a 2.5-year-old. They pretend she's not home. They close the door. They don't let him see mommy, because as a 2.5-year-old, and if you have young ones too, they don't understand the fact that mommy's home, but mommy won't talk to you, or daddy won't talk to you. So finding a way to isolate yourself and adhering to very specific hours will help with all of those calls from friends and family that just hear the word home opposed to work at home, that it will help them get adjusted to it. What are some of the other things that you found, Andrea?
Well, I found that it's important to create a specific place for yourself in your home. Now I realize there are people who are in apartments who may not have an extra bedroom, or maybe are just renting a room by itself. Personally, I think the bedroom is not necessarily the wrong place to have your office, but the energies and so forth from your day do permeate into your room, and that's supposed to be your sanctuary and a place for you to um, find your tranquility. And if you've generated energies that are going to be counterproductive to helping you relax in the evening when it is time to go to bed, sometimes it makes for a lot of anxiety and stress that's not necessary. Um, if you happen to have no place else but a bedroom, I would absolutely suggest not using the bed as the place for you to sit. At least have a chair and a table or a desk or something that you can put um, your laptop or your desktop, or whatever it is that you're using for your job, um, to keep that energy out of your bed. It just causes uh, unnecessary anxiety uh, and stress. It just does. One of the
Well,
other
if
things, I'm
if
sorry.
hold on for a second. One of the reasons why designating a specific area, when I had a two-bedroom apartment, I designated that second bedroom was the office. Specifically, it was like once I crossed the threshold, I knew it was business. And once I left out, I was back at home.
That's
So
correct.
if it is possible, do that. Now, I have my tiny house, which means I have both my office and my bedroom in the same particular area. Now, if you are finding that is also the case for you, because that is the only place where you have space, make sure that you fix the bed and create the changeover from sleep to work. If you don't have a physical place to do it, you can create it from the atmosphere of creating, okay, beds made, everything from sleeping is up. I'm in business. When I'm finished with work, I turn it totally around and I'm back at play. So if you have the one area, making sure that you change the environment so your head thinks, I've gone to work, or I'm back at home for play. What was the next thing that you were going to share with us, Andrea?
I thought also for families, um, if you are if you're able to stagger your work times, or have them cross over at some point, so that if there are children, especially now, that are being homeschooled or or are doing the computer with their teachers, If you stagger your work times, then at least one adult is going to be able to help participate with those children during the daytime or night, whichever. And all of the all of the responsibilities are not going to be on one individual for working or not. If both of you are working at the same time and your children are uh, being on computer trying to do their schoolwork or whatever they're doing, there's no supervision. There's no checking of homework with the children or participating with them if you need to. So at least if you're able to stagger your work times, I think that'll help with making sure everybody's being taken care of at this properly.
Yeah. And if you can't stagger your time, set it up where they're on the computer, school, when you're at work. Because if they are older, and by that I mean by third and fourth grade, many of the schools have designated the specific time the child should be on. So if you can coordinate your work schedule with their school schedule, even though they may be in another room, that is also a way of doing it. And then check their homework as you would if you have both gone out of the house and come back in. The next one.
The next one I thought of was making sure that you are organized. I said that before, but when I mention organization, it's not so much organizing for work. It's more organizing yourself and making sure that you are um, ready for work. Again, that commute time and that personal time is very important. It really is. And I don't think people really pay attention to how much they are thinking to themselves and really organizing their day in their heads while they're driving the car, while they're, on their way to work, whether you're in the subway, whether you're on the bus, however you get back and forth. That time is your opportunity to sit back and actually go through in your head, what am I going to do today? I know that I have shopping that I've got to do later. I know I have cooking that I have to do later. I know I have to check the children's homework. I know I have to, you organize in your head. Well, I know I'm going to have lunch between this time and this time. My job is designated that for lunchtime. Make sure you're using it for that and not trying to cram in some other activity, and then you go back to work and you haven't actually had that hour or 45 minutes of lunchtime for yourself. Everyone needs to, even though you're working from home, your personal time and energy is actually very important. And in order for you to get all that time in, you've got to organize.
Yeah, and I liked what you said, and I want to emphasize that lunchtime, taking your breaks, taking the lunch period, getting up from the desk periodically, and just walking out of whatever room you're in. I mean, if you're in a one room environment, walk outside. If you're doing it in your bedroom, walk downstairs if you can, and it won't disrupt the kids. But you need to make sure that you're following through and giving yourself, as Andrea said, that break, that mental break from work, and also in organizing your day. Now, remember, you do have that smart thing that tells us how to do everything. And if you are, remember, they do have a little note app on there where it can help you to put down those things that you need to take care of. Too often, we are so busy with turning things over in our head that we just don't have time to go, ah. So utilize those devices to, as you are thinking about organizing yourself, I need to do this, I need to do that. Go ahead, use that device to drop those things in there so you can clear up some space so that you can feel free to transition from work to home. What other thing did you have to say?
Well, one of the last things I wanted to mention is also, and this is more for people who, again, were kind of tossed into the work at home situation, and they have specific shifts or schedules that they have to adhere to. There are going to be applications where the managerial staff is looking. They can see if, when you're on your lunch or your break. They can see when you're on the phone, when you're not, when you're, doing what you're supposed to be doing for them. um, it's it's very important, in my opinion, to be on time. Do what you say you're going to do. If you have made a promise to your company as well as yourself, ad- adhere to that. Don't try to, it takes up some of your energy and turns into anxiety and stress again if you're constantly trying to figure out how to get out of things, how to maneuver around things to get other things done in the house. Literally put yourself in a mindset that you are still at work, even though you're in the home, but your work hours are your work hours, and to adhere to that as best you can, because it just it makes for a better person for yourself when you're able to do what you say you're going to do and actually stick to it. That's just my work ethic.
Well, Andrea, I thank you very much. Just reviewing some of the tips that I wrote down. One, make sure you get set for the day. Two, change your clothes. Take a shower. Change your clothes. Even though you are not going anywhere but a couple of steps, that helps to get your mindset. Set your hours. Make sure that you have clearly let others who would want to contact you know these are the hours I'm working. And I would appreciate it if you would not try to reach me during those hours. What else did I write down here? Um, Make sure you get organized. You organize your thoughts, you take your lunch, and you really help yourself to positively transition, even though you're in the very same space, to transition from work to home, from home to work. Any other points that you feel that you need to emphasize, Andrea?
Well, one, I saved this for last only because I'm a snacker. I like to snack. Now we're at home, and I would urge you to get your snacks together prior to working and try to make them as healthy as possible. Um, as opposed to potato chips and dip and things. Because you are at home now, you don't want to lose sight of the fact that you still need to remain healthy. There's nothing wrong with munching on carrots. There's nothing wrong having some fruit. There's nothing wrong even putting together a little salad if you need to. Just have something to munch on if you like to munch. Make sure you're hydrated and have plenty of water at your desk. Put it in the refrigerator the night before. Make sure it's nice and cold for you, and have it at your desk. You can use it all day long, or replace it if you need. Some people that I know actually have little small refrigerators in their offices just so that they don't have to get up and go to the kitchen to go and do anything, which again takes you out of your work environment. And now you're looking around the kitchen as if there's something else to do. So snack, but snack healthy.
Okay. So, if anybody would like help with transitioning from because we don't know how long, especially those people who traditionally work in the office, are going to be working at home, Andrea has kindly offered to answer any questions and help you out. And if you want to reach out to her, her Gmail address is right on the screen. And I'll read it for those who are listening on audio. It is Barnes, Barnes, 31257 at gmail.com. One more time, Barnes, Barnes, 31257 at gmail.com. Well, Andrea, I want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience with how to make your work at home environment positive and successful. And I think you've given us some very good tips. Any last words?
For anyone who's interested and you send me an email, please do mention that you saw this video on eCafe, and that way I'll know what where this came from. I'd be happy to know folks who were tuning in, and I'd just like to keep that information, give it to Kay Elizabeth as well.
All righty. Well, go ahead, make any comments down below. All of the info and contact information will be on the in the description of the video. So, with that, again, thank you, Andrea. May light, love, and plenty of laughter accompany you on your path. I thank you all for tuning in. I'm Kay Elizabeth Green. Thank you, Andrea. May you have a blessed one.